Hey guys, welcome back to the Espresso Outlet YouTube channel. Today we have something that is not espresso related. We're going to talk about the Next Level Pulsar brewer. Now this has been out for quite some time. This is actually a pre-production model, but they've been selling them for, I don't know, about 3 or 4 months. Now, they've been a little bit hard to get, but they are becoming much more popular as they have their production built up. But I did want to do just a quick overview of why this brewer is cool. So this is a no bypass brewer. And if that's the first time that you've heard that term, we'll just do a quick explanation of it. So everybody is familiar with like the Harrier V60 style brewer. It's been around forever. You can go to about any grocery store and pick one of these up relatively easily. They just take a conical filter paper, but you really don't have any control over it. And it has these ridges on the inside. So this is what we call a bypass. I mean, there is no valve, and some of the water, as it pools on top of the bed of grounds, is able to bypass that filter. So it doesn't really get extracted, or it gets under extracted. So with these conical filters, you're gonna have some coffee that's gonna be slightly over extracted. You're gonna have some that bypasses and is very under extracted. And then you're gonna have everything in the middle. So then when you get that cup of coffee done, you get this homogeneous blend, and that's your cup of coffee. Now there's really nothing wrong with that. But as people have figured out, going with one of these no bypass brewers is really fantastic for getting a really high, very smooth, evenly extracted cup of coffee. So again, if this is the first time you've heard of a no bypass brewer, it has a flat base and a valve. It doesn't necessarily have to have a valve, but this brewer does have a valve. And in the case of the Next Level, we have just a high quality filter paper. I'll show those to you. So they make them, and they are fantastic. You really don't even need to wet them. There's no taste. So you put your paper filter in the bottom and put your barrel on top. So as you can tell, the way that it's designed, all the water has to go through that bed of grounds, and it's going to go through evenly. And once it goes through that paper, again, when I mentioned a minute ago, it has all these little ridges so that you're getting this very even extraction. You're not having some that's over extracted, some that's under extracted. So I did mention there is a valve. What is really nice about this feature is you're able to do what they call on their website different recipes. So for example, you can have it completely closed and you can just let it sit there. It's a steep and flush. So you're gonna let it fill up with water. You're going to brew the coffee. You're gonna open up the valve, it's gonna drain, and then you can top it off with more water to your desired strength level. Some people like myself, I like to do a long bloom. So I'll have it closed. I might bloom for anywhere about a minute sometimes, and those grounds, they're not going to have the water saturate and drain out the bottom. You're actually making them sit there and bloom. And you can do a cold bloom, you can do a hot water bloom, it doesn't really matter. But just having that valve adds a lot of control that you don't have with something like a V60. The next thing that I wanted to talk about that I find really nice, like the V60, I mean, you get used to it. You have your gooseneck kettle and you spin it in a pattern to make a nice level of extraction so you're not getting too much coffee on one side, for example. With this Next Level brewer, they've designed the lid to have more of like a dispersion screen. And it's maybe a little bit hard to see in the camera, but there's actually ripples so that the water doesn't just pool on top. And then there's these little tiny spouts on the bottom. So when you pour water in, it will more or less distribute the water evenly over that bed of ground. So we'll take a look at that here in a second. I'll just do some with some cold water to show you how this works. But this is pretty much the overall of the Next Level Pulsar. I think it's a really cool brewer. I've really enjoyed it. I had a friend that had one, and I was pretty much hooked from day one. So let's just take a quick look at how it works. We're not going to do any brewing in this video because there's so many different ways to use this brewer. But we are probably going to highlight the maybe 2 to 3 most popular brew methods in their own dedicated videos. So make sure to subscribe and check back if you're planning to pick one of these Pulsars up. Okay, so for this example, I'm just going to pour water in the top, and I'm not going to really move the kettle very much. And you can see how it comes down and is just a nice little shower of water all over what would be a bed of grounds. And then if we were to do something like a long bloom, we do have the ability to control that output. And it usually doesn't come out this fast because we're usually brewing coffee with it. But if you needed to do a long bloom or a steep and flush, you have that ability for all that coffee and the water to stay within the Pulsar brewer. So that's it for today's tutorial. I just wanted to introduce the flat bottom brewer from NEXTLEVEL Pulsar. It has been just a fantastic brewer for myself. I use it about 4 or 5 times a week when I'm not making espresso, kind of go back and forth. I still do enjoy my conical brewers like a Kono or a V60, but they're kind of a thing of everyday commonness. This just really takes it to the next level, no pun intended. It really does that really high extraction yield. I have some geisha that I brought that we're going to do in a video, and we're going to use some lotus drops and do some water treatment, and this thing is just going to make that coffee absolutely fantastic. I wouldn't be able to get that same extraction out of this V60. So I hope this video is interesting to you. Thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe and make sure to check back. If you end up picking up one of these, we're going to do a couple tutorial videos like I mentioned, just to share some of those recipes as they call them on the NEXTLEVEL website. But that's all for today. Thanks for watching.